My brother chose to marry a woman who was the daughter of a bank executive. She didn't want me at the wedding because she looked down on me for being a high school dropout working in construction. Even though my brother is my only family, she threatened to cancel the wedding if I showed up. "Please don't interfere," she begged. Wanting my brother to be happy, I had no choice but to agree to stay away. However, my absence caused a lot of confusion at the wedding. My name is Ethan Smith. One morning, on my day off, I got a call from my younger brother, Jake. "Hey Ethan, you're off today, right?" "Yeah, I was actually asleep," I replied as I got up and went to the bathroom. "I met someone I want to marry, and I'd like you to meet her," he said. I was surprised and suddenly wide awake, but happy to see that my brother had grown up. Jake and I had always been close. Our mother divorced when we were young, and she worked hard to take care of us. I don't remember much about our father because he was rarely around. I'd often looked after Jake while our mom worked late. "Sorry, I have to go to work again. Here's some dinner, heat it up and eat it with Jake," she would say. "Got it, I'll give him a bath first. He's been falling asleep in the middle of dinner lately," I'd reply. "All right, thank you, Ethan." One day, our peaceful life changed when our mom decided to take us to our grandparents' house. She left us there and never came back. Jake was very young and cried every night, missing our mom. I would read to him, hold his hand while we slept, and try to distract him from his sadness. "Where's Mom? Is she coming home today?" he would ask. It always hurt to hear that, and I don't remember when I started saying, "I don't know." Our grandparents were angry at our mother but still raised us with love. I was so happy to have warm meals every day. As I accepted that our mom wouldn't return, I realized I was the only one who could protect Jake. When Jake started elementary school, some local bullies began to mess with him. I scared them off by swinging around the broom our grandmother always used. "Wow, this guy's older brother is crazy. Run," they'd say. I started thinking about learning boxing because I wanted to get stronger to protect Jake. But there wasn't any boxing gym in our small town in Kansas. Instead, my grandpa would take me fishing on his days off. Standing by the sea, I felt how small I was. When I cast my fishing line into the water, I felt a calmness that I didn't usually get to feel in my busy life. I started to enjoy fishing and began leaving Jake with our grandmother so I could go fishing with our grandfather. I went fishing every week, and Mr. Brown, one of my grandfather's fishing friends, also became my friend. I secretly imagined that if my father were still around, he would be about Mr. Brown's age, and it always made me happy to see him. "Do you know what you want to be when you grow up, Ethan?" Mr. Brown asked me while we were fishing. I want to be a regular office worker and earn money so my younger brother and grandparents can live more comfortably," I said. "Ethan, you've got a heart as big as the ocean. You'll be fine. Just keep doing your best," he told me. Those words have comforted me many times since. When I started high school, I studied hard so I could earn money, but then, one day, my grandmother fainted. She was admitted to the hospital, and soon after my grandfather fainted too. He passed away. We were able to hold a small funeral after explaining our situation to the people at the local funeral home. Since our grandmother couldn't attend the funeral, Jake suggested we visit our fishing spot to look for Mr. Brown, thinking that Grandpa would feel lonely without him. When we told Mr. Brown about our grandfather's sudden death, he quickly got ready and attended the funeral the next day. "Ethan, I'm sorry to make you worry. I'll get better soon," my grandmother, who couldn't attend the funeral, said to me. But she seemed very down after Grandpa's death. "Take it easy in the hospital. We're fine at home. Jake's going to be in middle school next year. He's old enough," I reassured her. "Well then, there are some things I should tell you, Ethan," she replied. During her time in the hospital, she explained important household and financial matters to me. Just when we thought our grandmother was getting better, her condition suddenly worsened, and she passed away. I had to drop out of high school to work at a construction site to support both Jacob and myself. "I'm gonna get a part-time job too," Jake said. "You can't get a part-time job in middle school. You need to focus on your studies," I replied. "But I can deliver newspapers," he protested. "It's fine, I'm earning enough. Don't worry," I reassured him. Jake kept insisting on getting a part-time job to help out. "I want you to study, get into a good school, and go to college so you don't have to worry about work in the future." "I don't mind working as much as it takes to make that happen," I told him. Hearing this, Jake finally started focusing on his studies. He got into a prestigious high school and steadily made his way to college. Now he works at a top company and has a woman he wants to marry. As his older brother, I couldn't be happier. "Can I bring my fiancé to your apartment on your next day off?" Jake asked me. "Sure, I'll make sure to clean up. I'm looking forward to it," I replied. On my next day off, I nervously met Jake's fiancée, Emily Garcia, for the first time. "Nice to meet you. I'm Jake's older brother, Ethan. Please come in," I greeted her. "Nice to meet you. Do you live here?" she asked. "Yeah, this is my brother's apartment," Jake answered as she looked a bit puzzled. But I guess she wasn't used to visiting a bachelor's apartment and continued the conversation. "Yes, sorry it's so cramped. I work at a construction site and usually only come home to sleep, so I don't mind the small space," I added. I never expected Jake to bring his girlfriend over. "I met Emily through a client, and we're planning to get engaged soon," Jake said. Seeing my brother so confident, I was genuinely happy for their engagement. Emily, being quiet and reserved, didn't say much and only offered awkward smiles. She seemed like she came from a wealthy family. While we were talking, Jake's phone rang. "Sorry, it's a work call," he said, and left the room. Emily took the opportunity to speak. "You said you work at a construction site, Ethan. Which college did you graduate from?" she asked. "Actually, I started working after my grandparents passed away. I had to take care of Jake, like a parent, and I dropped out of high school," I explained. "So you didn't finish high school?" she asked. "Correct. Unlike Jake, I didn't enjoy studying much, and I've been working the same job since then," I said. "I didn't know Jake's brother dropped out of high school," she said with a noticeable sigh of disappointment. "I don't regret giving up my education, but having faced the harsh reality of how society views high school dropouts, I suddenly worried about causing trouble for my brother. I assumed you must have a prestigious profession since Jake is so accomplished, but it seems I was mistaken," she said. "A prestigious profession is impossible to regain now. All I ask is that you don't interfere with our happiness," she added. "I have no intention of doing that. I want Jake to be happy," I replied. As I spoke, Emily gave a slight, forced smile. It was clear she was trying hard to hide her true feelings. When Jake returned, she went quiet again. I wondered if Jake knew about her behavior, but I wasn't sure how to bring it up with him. "Ethan, thanks for spending time with us today, especially on your day off. I'm glad you got to meet Emily," Jake said, looking very happy. Not long after, I received an email announcing their official engagement. Then, about a week before the wedding, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Emily. "Hello, it's Emily from the other day. Do you remember me?" she asked. Her voice reminded me of our previous uncomfortable encounter, making me uneasy. "Of course, I remember you. Is something wrong?" I asked. "I have a small favor to ask," she said. "A favor? Is it something about the wedding?" "If there's anything I can do, just let me know," I responded cheerfully, wanting to help. "Well, about the wedding, could you perhaps not attend?" she asked. "Excuse me, not attend? I can't imagine missing Jake's wedding. I'm his only family," I said, surprised. Emily explained, "You may not know this, but my father is a senior executive at a bank. It's considered inappropriate for him if there are no family members from the other side. We're thinking of hiring actors to play family roles. Jake is okay with this." "Actors?" I asked, confused. "Yes, there's a service for that. We thought it would be best. Can you please tell Jake that you have a work conflict and can't attend?" she asked. "I don't think Jake would agree to this. I want to celebrate his wedding too," I said. "If we don't do this, the wedding might not happen. It was hard enough to get my father to approve of our marriage, so please don't interfere," Emily insisted. "You're asking the brother of your future husband to stay away from the wedding," I said. There was a pause, then Emily sighed. "I don't understand why you, with no education or respectable job, feel entitled to attend. Frankly, it would be embarrassing for us." She then hung up. I was left stunned and ashamed. I knew I wasn't impressive as a high school dropout, but I didn't want to cause Jake any embarrassment. So I decided to call Jake. "Hey Jake, sorry to call. I've got a work commitment that day that I can't miss." "I'm really sorry, but I won't be able to attend," I said. "What? I thought you cleared your schedule for the wedding," Jake replied, surprised. "Yes, I did, but as the site supervisor, it's tough to take a day off. I made arrangements for that day, and my coworkers told me I should go." I felt a wave of emotions, I explained. "I can't get out of it. I'm the supervisor. I can't leave," I told Jake. "I see. That's disappointing. But if you can make it, even if it's just for a short while, please come. I really want you there," Jake said. "I'll do my best. If I finish early, I'll be there." "Congratulations, Jake," I replied. "Yeah, thank you. Promise me okay," he said. After hanging up, I couldn't stop the tears from streaming down my face as I thought about Jake's feelings. The fact that he wanted his imperfect brother to be at his wedding was a small comfort. It felt like I'd regained a bit of the self-esteem Emily had shattered. On the day of the wedding, feeling lonely at home, I decided to go fishing, a hobby I hadn't indulged in much since starting work. I chose a favorite spot where I wouldn't run into any colleagues. As I cast my line, the familiar tranquility brought on more tears. I wanted to cry freely, letting my frustration, loneliness, and concern for Jake wash away with the ocean. After my emotional release, I sensed a presence behind me. When I turned around, I saw Mr. Brown standing with a fishing rod. "Oh, Mr. Brown," I said, quickly wiping my tears. Mr. Brown gave me a warm, nostalgic smile. "Ethan, it's been a while. What's got you looking so sad?" Embarrassed but unable to hold back, I explained why I couldn't attend the wedding, laughing and crying as I spoke. I felt a strong need for Mr. Brown's comforting presence. "That's harsh, Ethan. You're an admirable man, and there's no reason to feel ashamed." "I know that better than anyone," Mr. Brown said. "Do you think this is the place to be crying?" "But if I show up, I'll interfere with Jake's happiness," I said. "Do you think your brother would truly be happy if his big brother didn't come to his once-in-a-lifetime wedding?" Mr. Brown asked. "Well," I hesitated. "Jake values you more than you think. Remember, he wanted you to come even if you were late. You should go." "Come on, get going," Mr. Brown encouraged. "Thanks, Mr. Brown. All right, I'll go," I said, feeling a renewed sense of determination. I hurried home to get ready, each word from Mr. Brown pushing me forward. When I arrived at the wedding venue, Jake and Emily were waiting backstage. "Bro, you made it in time. I'm so glad," Jake exclaimed, his joy palpable. Emily, however, looked irritable. "Well, this is inconvenient." "What do you mean by inconvenient?" I asked. "I had to invite someone to fill your seat since you said you couldn't come," Emily said, likely referring to some fake relative. As the wedding entrance approached, Emily's frustration grew. "Ethan, this isn't what we agreed on. Why won't you listen to me? We're running out of time." "I just wanted to congratulate Jake today," I said. Emily snapped. "This isn't how it was supposed to be. How would it look if people knew the groom's brother is a high school dropout? Even Jake's father doesn't want you here. Leave now." Just then, the backstage door swung open and Emily's father stormed in, looking flustered. "Emily, where's Ethan?" "What's going on, Dad?" Emily asked. "One of our major bank clients contacted us. They're threatening to close their account unless you change your disrespectful attitude," he said, revealing the gravity of the situation. Emily's face turned pale. "What? Me?" "Yes, they said they'd seize all transactions with us unless you address this," her father confirmed. "Ethan," Emily's father said, "they suspect it's a matter of dignity." Emily shot me a sharp glare. "Ethan, did you do something like spreading rumors to damage my reputation on social media or something?" she demanded. "I have no idea what you're talking about," I replied, completely baffled. "I don't understand how my name even came up in this." Emily's attitude was breaking the agreement, and Jake's suspicion was growing. "You mean the reason you suddenly couldn't come was because Emily arranged it?" he asked, his voice tinged with disbelief. "That's a terrible thing to say," Emily protested, likely searching for an excuse. I cut her off before she could say anything more. "I decided not to come because Emily called me a disgrace, but I realized I was wrong and rushed over," I admitted. "Hang on, Ethan," Jake said, clearly stunned. "Emily, did you tell my brother he's a disgrace?" Jake asked, his voice growing stern. Because," Emily stammered, struggling for words. Ignoring her flustered state, Jake spoke firmly. "Thanks to Ethan, I managed to get through college. I can't thank him enough. I'm truly sorry, Ethan." "It's okay, Jake. You don't need to apologize to me," I said, trying to comfort him. Jake turned his glare back at Emily. "Emily, we're going to have to call off this wedding. Is that okay with you, Mr. Garcia?" "If that's what it takes for them to forgive us, I have no problem with it," Emily's father replied. "But wait," Emily tried to argue, but her father had already left, likely to handle the situation with the bank. The wedding was dissolved without the bride and groom even making an entrance. According to Jake, Emily lost her job at the bank due to the damage to their trust, and her father faced disciplinary actions, including a transfer and demotion to a different state. Emily, not wanting to leave, went to Jake, crying and revealing everything. However, Jake had no lingering feelings for her. Hearing about her actions and realizing her true nature had a profound impact on him. Her co-workers didn't think highly of her either, Jake explained. The message from the major client was the final straw. There are a lot of bad rumors about her, and it seems there's no chance of her making a comeback. "I see, but let's be glad we found out her true colors before you two got married," I suggested. "Yeah, that's true. By the way, aren't you curious about who the major client is?" Jake asked. I guess so. Who could it be?" I wondered. "I work in construction, so I don't know anyone who could shake up a bank that much," Jake said. "Actually, there's one person who comes to mind. I looked into who the major clients might be, and one of the company's chairman names looked familiar." Jake asked me if I knew Mr. Brown's first name. I remembered that our grandpa used to call him Tom, Tommy, or Thomas. Yeah, I think it's Thomas, I said. Bingo. Did you tell Mr. Brown about the wedding? Jake asked. Yeah, I did, I replied. Jake was smiling as he told me Mr. Brown was the chairman of a big company that the bank worked with. On my next day off, I went fishing again. My legs were a bit wobbly, but I made it to my favorite spot. Mr. Brown, I called out as I saw him. Hey there, how did the wedding go? Mr. Brown asked, smiling as usual. It didn't go as planned. I've been having a tough time lately, I admitted. You've been crying a lot. You weren't like this before, Mr. Brown said, but don't worry about it. You're my fishing buddy, and I care about Jake just like you do. It's only natural to help a friend. I sat down next to Mr. Brown and cast my fishing line into the water, feeling a bit better. Life had changed a lot for me. My usual fast food lunches were now more interesting because the new secretary, who was Mr. Brown's granddaughter, started bringing me homemade lunches. I remembered her as the little girl Mr. Brown used to bring fishing. You are my first crush, and I can't believe you remember me, she said with a pout, but then smiled. I grew fond of her sunny personality, and she became important to me. I told Jake about my new girlfriend in an email, and that night he called. Introduce me to your girlfriend, bro. I'll bring mine too, Jake said, excited. Jake had a new girlfriend too. Fishing, which I learned from my grandpa, had always been a comfort for me. Now, it was a way to connect with the people I care about. It's a sunny day today, and the forecast says we'll have clear skies for a few days. I'm planning to take my girlfriend on a fishing date this weekend.